Okay, now the front flap is done and that ribbon's not going anywhere. It's stitched on there really nice. Now I'll start the construction of the back cover. The back cover I decided that I'm going to make out of the same color as the front flap. So I'll take my first piece of paperboard. I'm going to cover this really well with glue. And center it. This is going to curl a little bit. That's all right. It'll straighten out when it dries. I'm going to center it on that piece. Flatten it out good. Make sure you don't get glue on your scrapbook paper. That would be sad. On the right side. So there, and then again, I'm going to trim the edges. So got that. Now, back cover, same as the flap. You only want to fold up this bottom edge. Take the front flap, flip it over, and we'll do the same process. Let's see, I want to measure in 1/4 of an inch so I can get that lined up nice and straight. So I'm going to mark my 1/4 inch line. Get my tape. My strip of paper, put it over the top of that. Actually, I can just glue this in. Okay, that way. Just along this edge. Don't want too much on there. Okay, that's done. Now I can take my other flap and I'm going to put that in place. Line it up. There we go. Now I'm ready to fold these edges around. So fold this up, fold the sides in. Okay, and now I'm ready to put the inside back panel, which is going to contrast with the outside front panel. It's going to be the same as the outside front panel. And I'm just going to put that right there so we get a nice finished look. Line those, eyeball that, line it up. Okay, the last step for the back cover is to sew through the ribbon, make sure that it doesn't pull out. So I am going to do that and then I'll be right back. Okay, now the back cover and flap are done and I'm ready to construct the front. There's my first front panel and my scrapbook paper. I'm just going to fold that up, but I'm not going to glue it yet, and here's why. We need to know where to put the other brad. So I'm going to line this up on back, because this is the back cover, and then turn it over and flip this up. Now I want this brad, oh, got stuff on here. Hopefully I can get it off. I might cover that with a picture or something. I want to put the second brad far enough up so that they're not touching. So I'm going to put this up. It looks like right probably about there. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little dot there. I'm going to fold these sides in so that I can see how far in that is, because I want to make sure I get it in the center. And this is, I'm going to want to make sure that that hole is 1 7/8 inch in from each side. So now that I know about where I want to place it, whoops, those drive me crazy. Okay, it's right there. So 1, and got it pretty well centered. So 1 7/8. So I want to put my hole right there. And my crocodile is not big enough to stick all the way in there. So I'm going to use just a regular pokey tool and punch that hole through there. And I can't get it wide enough for the brad. I think that I can probably force the brad through there. So get my other brad. Oh, well, I already had it, but anyway, there we go. Poke that through there. Again, make sure that there's space underneath so that the string can go around it. I've made these and then later regretted that I didn't leave enough space for the string. So make sure you got enough space for your string. So there we go, that's in place. Now we can flip it over and finish the back side. Put the other panel on top. This is going to hide the brad. And then fold the edges in. We've got that. And now the last piece is this to go over, cover that. That on. There we go. So now we've got the cover done, both of them. This is going to go together like this. Now it's time to do the binding with the cinch. Before I do that, I want to practice. So I've got one of the pages out of my that's the same size as the ones that I'm going to do, and then I've got a piece of I just had an extra piece of cardstock, so I have this cut to the same size as the cover, and I'm going to make sure that my measurements are right before I actually punch my project. I highly recommend doing this. If you it'll save you some heartache of messing up your cover after spending all that time. So I'm going to get my cinch. All right. So I'm going to start with the paper, and just going to put it in here. Looks like I'm going to want to pull the number 7 just to make sure that it doesn't punch in. But so I've got 1 through 6 are in. Number 7 is pulled. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's all the way to the back. And there's where my holes are. Now, for the cover, this cover is 1/4 of an inch bigger. So I want to back this out 1/8 of an inch. So that's just 2 clicks. So I'm going to have this lining up on 1 1/8. And put that in. There we go. I'm just going to make sure that everything lines up good. And it does. So I am ready to go ahead and bind my actual project. I'm gonna do the covers first since I've got that lined up already. Let's see. And the cover goes in this way. Oh boy, I hope that brad isn't going to be in the way. Wow, that is close. Oh, it's going all the way to the back of the machine, so that'll be fine, and it is going all the way in. So here we go. There's the front cover. I'm gonna put the back cover in the same way. I don't want to do it this way because they might not line up quite right. Put the back cover in. Make sure, again, double check. That's at 1/8 of an inch. I accidentally bumped it when I was making my big one, and I ended up messing up the holes. So again, I'm gonna look and make sure I've got all that lined up and it's all the way in. And this is how I messed it up before. Sometimes a piece gets stuck in there and you got to kind of wiggle it back and forth to get it out. There we go. There, see, that piece was stuck in there. So got it out. Everything's lining up. Looks good. Now I'm going to do see how that knocked that off? Way off. So I'm going to push that all the way in because I'm going to do the pages now. So this is lined up. And now that I know how wide that is, I should have done this already. I am going to cut my binding wires. So I've got my 5/8 inch binding wires. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So I'm going to get my metal wire cutters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cut right here. Set these here. It's a handy little holder. Cover goes last. So I am going to, oops, put these in as I punch them. Now I've got all of my pages on here, and to do the cover we want to put the front on first and then the back like that. Take it off. Sorry about that, my camera stopped recording when I was doing the binding, but you couldn't really see that part from the camera view anyway. Now that the binding is done, I'm ready to put the string on to complete the journal. So I'm just going to take a piece of twine and wrap it around just a couple of times. I could tie a slip knot, but I'm just going to wrap it around. And just do a figure 8 between the black brads. And there it's done. A completed little journal. And if you wanted to, if I had made this flap just a little bit longer, I could set it up like an easel, and I'll show you how to do that. This one, the flap's a little short, so it's not very stable. You just flip the flap backwards, put the cover over, and it catches on that brad, and then you can, if I flip some of the pages over there, it'll stand like an easel. So if you have some artwork that you want to display, you can do that. That is the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.